Really a pleasure to be here because, as Pastor said, this is where we started our Christian life, and always feels good to be coming back to where that place, which was of so importance for us. I want to start my testimony. I really need to start with asking some general questions. These questions are like, do you have to be a naive and uneducated person to be a Christian? Or does modern science prove that we're just a product of chance and time, as evolution teaches? Or does it show the existence of a creator? And is the Bible just a collection of legends and myths? Or are they actually historically reliable stories? And how about Jesus? Is Jesus just a moral and wise teacher? Or was he indeed the Son of God? And the resurrection, is that something that really happened? Or was that made up over years by well-intended Christians? These are the kind of questions that I had when I was a teenager. And basically because I didn't get any really good answers to these questions, for me, God became relatively unimportant. Let me give you some background. I was born 45 years ago in the Netherlands, and both my parents were from Roman Catholic families, so I was brought up in a Roman Catholic environment, and I went to school, and I even went to Roman Catholic elementary school and high school, and I was getting a Christian kind of education, but when I was going to Roman Catholic high school, at the high school they taught me about evolution. And when I was hearing evolution being taught to me, combined with all these other questions that started popping up in my mind, I didn't get these answers I wanted. Actually, I started to believe in evolution, because that's what you do. If you have a teacher that teaches you something at that age, it's absorbed as fact. You don't really question it. And because I started to believe in evolution, it immediately questions everything around the faith, because if you read the Bible, the very few verses of the Bible, we always sort of had the plan. I married Koba somewhere along the line as well. Very busy with working, but actually she worked with me, which made it easier to meet. And I got children, but to be very honest, I really was absorbed by my work. I mean, I really wanted to make that career. And for me, becoming a vice president, all these kind of things are almost more important than spending quality time with my family. And I think that happens to a lot of people. It's really easy because you spend a lot of time at work, more time at work than at home. So you really start focusing more on that. The work brought us to the U.S. About 10 years ago. We first lived a few years in New Jersey. And we had a chance, some people started smiling about it. It was not my choice, because we really liked actually the West Coast better. But after a few years, when I got my green card and everything, we got a permanent residency, we were able to move to the West Coast. And we settled down here in Port Ludlow for the most important reason, because it's just a beautiful place. We actually have traveled around quite a lot in the US before we moved over, and checked out where we wanted to live and wanted to settle and retire, and that was Port Ludlow. So we settled here for that reason. And the plan was, which I was able to fulfill, that about my 40th year I would be able to leave my job and spend the rest of my life traveling and playing golf or something like that, doing something fun. So about 1999, that was about the time we made that goal. I retired, I quit my job, and started to spend time at home. Now about that same time, Koba had become a Christian. Then I would just call it a coincidence. Now I think it's part of God's plan that it happened, because he started to go to church, actually started to go to this church. And I was just quit my job. I had some time at hand, and I really wanted to rebuild my family because I hadn't seen much of them for a very long time. I mean, the job I used to have was basically 5-6 days a week of travel, and lots of times I would even stay away for the weekend. So you can imagine we didn't know each other that well anymore. So when I go to church, and I felt I need to make an investment in the family, so I decided, okay, I'll join you, I'll come with you. Actually, I had a great plan for that, because I really didn't want to go to church. But I had this plan, like if church starts at 10 o'clock, let's make sure that we'll be there like 10:02. 2 minutes after church starts, we sneak in the back, sit in the back row when everybody's busy, and then when they play the last song, we make sure we're out of there. So that way, I wouldn't have to talk to anybody, which I really didn't want to do. That worked out very differently, because they have this system of greeters here. And as soon as you show up at the door, they corral you in and start talking to you. And so we couldn't make that plan. But frankly, I really started enjoying coming over here and socializing with people, because to my surprise, they were very interesting people. It's not like just dual Christians, which are the opinion I had, but they're actually people with really well-founded opinions who had a lot to say. And that started a triggered interest. I started thinking to myself, if people like this go to this church, there must be something to this. And I heard the stories again about Jesus, and obviously it's a wonderful story, it's a wonderful message. And I started asking myself, okay, is this really true, or is this just too good to be true? And I really didn't want to spend the rest of my life going to church if I wouldn't have a good foundation. So I decided, okay, I'm going to check this out once and for all. Now I want to make sure, I want to check out whether this is something I can trust or not. And that started a journey, quite a journey, because I wanted to, I'm an analytical person, I'm a skeptical person, I'm not very easy to convince, mostly also because of my business experience. I've seen a lot of things, I've heard a lot of things that sound too good to be true, and they usually are not. So I really was very skeptical when I started out. But I wanted to give it a chance, and I decided I was going to do some research. I had some time, I hadn't started my golf lessons yet, so I just thought, okay, I'll look around, and I started reading.